What's up guys, welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host Zach, and oh my god, did you guys hear? The latest episode of r/ProRevenge is coming out today. Actually right now, because today's subreddit is r/ProRevenge. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. This story is called Entitled Neighbor Threatens Dogs and I Break. Years ago, my mother and I had just moved to a new dog-friendly apartment complex. We had two dogs. One was a Bichon Shih Tzu and the other is a Terrier Poodle mix. Because of them, we were excited for the community dog park right next to our building. Also to note, our whole building was filled with dog owners, each with dogs ranging from small to huge. Our apartment was on the first floor in the back of the building, all the way in the corner. It was a nice, private area for us with how the apartments were situated. Since one of our dogs is a terrier, he can be a bit barky when we're not home. Though when we are home, we have a clicker to get his attention, which he has been trained to stop barking and come to whoever has the clicker. Due to our work hours, I was usually home in the morning, and my mom was home in the afternoon, leaving him alone for a few hours during the day. After a month of moving to our new apartment, we received a note on our door. It was from one of our neighbors. It stated, "Dear neighbor, I understand that you are new to this complex, but it is rude to allow your dog to bark. It is ruining my sleep before I go to work, and my job is extremely important. I don't care how you do it, but shut your dog up." My mom turned in the note right away to the leasing office as she wasn't sure what to do with it. That is when the office told us not to worry because he had done this to every dog owner in the building. They did ask us to see if we can find ways to calm him down when we were not home. So we did. We found out the kids of the neighborhood liked playing with the power station outside of our apartment, and that is who he had been barking at. So we closed off that area for him when we went out and no one was home. We started playing calming music as a way to help as well. Another week goes by, and this time we hear a knock at the door. We go outside and we meet our angry neighbor. He explains that our dog has kept him up every day and woke him up with his hours of barking. Both of us had been home that day, and our dog had been a good boy and had not had excessive barking. I still remember what he had told us when I explained that. "I know what I heard. If you can't control your dog, then I'm going to call animal control and have them both taken from you. I did it before and have no problem getting rid of your dogs too. Then I'll get you kicked out for not following your lease, and I can do that because I am very rich and the apartment needs my money. So do something to shut your dogs up or else." After that, and my mom apologizing for what had happened, we went back in. A few moments later, I walked out to get the mail and discovered from another neighbor that he had gone to 3 other apartments and made similar threats. After some convincing, my mom told the apartment what had happened. We were told not to worry, and if he did that again, to please contact them. We also found out that the apartment had offered him an apartment away from the dogs, but he had declined since the dogs were the problem and not him. However, because of what he had done, my mom began to show signs of anxiety and bought a lemon spray bark collar for our dog. While I didn't like this idea, it had put her at ease to go outside of our apartment. We did make sure to only put it on him when we were both not home. A month went by peacefully. Then once again, we get a knock on our door. This time, it was animal control. They had gotten an anonymous report of a dog being cruelly mistreated and neglected in our home. They explained that someone has said that our dogs were barking because of neglect. My mom invited the animal control lady inside and explained the situation. We showed her everything we could to prevent our dogs from being taken away. The nice lady noticed how playful and happy our dogs were and figured it was another false call. She explained that they had gotten a few of those from an anonymous concerned neighbor for other apartments in the building. The animal control lady left, telling us that if they are threatened again to try and get it on record. This event had turned my mom into a paranoid person who became afraid to leave the house, thinking that if she did, then she would lose her pups. Normally, I am the calmest person in my family, never really letting anyone get to me. But this neighbor had done that to hurt us. So I did my research and discovered a few things that could legally help us. With new information on certain laws and leasing terms, I formed a plan. During the weekend that my mom was visiting my aunt in a different state, I began my plan. I started it by printing out a few things, then sat outside with my phone and a speaker. I began to play a video of a dog barking really loud. I had figured out which apartment was his thanks to a few neighbors who were also tired of being harassed. I sat there, looking across the courtyard to where his apartment was. I waited with a huge smile on my face, and as I hoped for, he stormed out and headed over to where I was. I turned off my video and turned on my recorder without him noticing. His face is red with anger as he looks at me sitting there with a smile. "I'm sorry, can I help you?" I ask him. "Fornication under consent of the king, you. I frickin' told you what I would do to your family if you frickin' didn't stop your dumbass mutts from ruining my sleep. Now I'm going to get them taken from you and get you kicked out for not doing as I said. I gave you a frickin' chance. I hope when they take your dogs that they are killed, and you and your mom live inside a cardboard box." I gave him a fake, "Oh dear," look and say, "So, you are saying that I am not allowed to make noises, including my dogs barking between the hours of 7 a.m. and 11 p.m., and that I went against the law by doing so? You know you did. And you are telling me this from my porch at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. This won't be your porch once I tell the leasing office." "Oh noes, that is a very serious threat for my dogs and my family, isn't it?" "Hell yeah it is." I give him a huge smile and turned off my recorder from my phone. The neighbor is confused now and I ask him to have a seat. I have a few things to show him. I pull out my papers and hand him the first one. It was the county's noise ordinance laws. In our county, a dog's bark was considered the same amount of sound as a loud appliance. So they can bark between the hours of 7 a.m. and 11 p.m. Before he could talk, I pull out another paper. This one states that it is against the leasing terms to threaten another neighbor, and after one warning, that the apartment complex had the right to revoke their lease. He looks at me with an understanding of what he had done now. I silence him and pull out one last paper. This was another leasing term I had found. His face after reading this one made him turn white. This last one talked about how it was a complete violation of leasing terms to go onto another renter's property and threaten them or their property. This includes the renter's outdoor area. Those found guilty of this violation will have their lease revoked immediately and be forced to leave the apartment within a set time. The scared look on his face was priceless as I silently got up and walked back to my apartment. After he finally left, I called my leasing office and explained what had just happened and agreed to email the recording to them right away. A week later, my mom came home with some news that she had learned from the leasing office. The man had been evicted from his apartment and would be leaving later that week. I found out that my actions had caused the other dog owners of the building to come forward and admit what he had been doing to all of them. After that, there was never another complaint and I threw away the lemon spray collar. My mom still gets anxiety attacks once in a while, but has been getting help to ease those worries. As for me, I don't regret what I did. I just feel bad that it had to come to that. That was some good pro-revenge, but what I'm curious about is why this non-dog owner came to a dog apartment and complained about dog noises and declined the offer to move him to somewhere where there are less dog noises, but he's claiming it's the dog's fault for making dog noises in a dog apartment. What? This story's called "The Traffic Tickets Became the Least of His Problems." A few years back, my old car was on its last legs. My mechanic said it wouldn't last much longer and the best thing to do was sell it cheap and move on before it gave out and was ready to be scrapped. I loved that little car, but I put it up on Craigslist for $500 and got a bite. The guy buying it was in his 20s with a pregnant wife and his dad was footing the bill. I was clear with them that it was sold as is and I couldn't make any promises about its longevity. The buyer said that if it lasted 6 months, he'd be happy with the purchase. So he signed the bill of sale and handed over the title. I immediately went to the DMV website and registered it as a sale and assumed he would finish the process by transferring the title. Turns out, I was wrong about 2 things. The car lasted much longer than 6 months and he didn't bother to pay the $77 to transfer the title. I discovered this when I received a photo radar ticket for running a red light. I was confused because the street was way across town in an area I rarely visit. When I went online to view the high-res traffic cam photos, I found it was the buyer in my old car, but my name was still attached to the plates. After some serious cursing, I copied all the records, dates, bill of sale, etc. and mailed copies off to the courthouse. It was his citation, but I had to prove it to the court. 2 weeks later, I got another letter from the fuzz. Another ticket, this time for speeding. Same driver, same car, same plates with my name still attached. Again, I had to copy all the paperwork, write a long letter to the clerk, and mail it off to the courthouse. The third ticket really made me mad. I started making calls and discovered that this scam is pretty common. Some folks buy a junker and rack up fines until they wreck or abandon the car, and their name was never on it, so nobody bothers to punish them for it. It's all on the previous owner to clean up the mess and prove who was at fault. This time, I wrote an extra long letter to the court clerk and did a little research to include the guy's picture, home address, and listed phone number. A few months went by and I thought it was over. Hell, the car should have given out by now anyway. Then the fourth ticket arrived, showing him in high resolution zipping past a radar cam in my old car with my old bumper sticker still on the back, Giant Meteor 2016, and all his kids piled into the back seat. The fifth and sixth tickets felt like Groundhog's Day. I didn't even bother to put the paperwork away. I kept it out on my desk, ready to copy. By the time the seventh ticket arrived, we were well over a year beyond the sale, and enough was enough. This wasn't just some dude forgetting to do some paperwork or not knowing the right way to go about buying a car. This was intentional. It was time for some pro-revenge. First, I called the police, and after a week of back and forth, finally spoke with the traffic cop who said enough is enough, and went to pay the guy a visit. He said he couldn't disclose what would happen during that discussion, but the total amount of the likely unpaid traffic tickets was enough to get his attention. The tickets and late fees were several times the value of the car. That wasn't enough. Just having to pay his tickets wasn't appropriate for the 7 freaking times I had to copy that damned bill of sale for the court clerk. So I started going back through my records of every ticket and every photo, and I found an interesting theme. In every photo, his tiny kids were in the car, including the newborn infant, all packed into the back seat. I called Child Protective Services anonymously. I didn't provide any information that was not 100% factual and verifiable. The ticket showed that this guy was operating an identity fraud scheme out of his home, essentially stealing my identity and who knows how many others. His children were present throughout. Furthermore, he regularly violated traffic rules and put his children in serious danger by speeding, running red lights, and committing other traffic violations. If he was doing this stuff so often in front of a big white camera, how do you think he was driving when he wasn't being watched? I declined to provide my name or number as I had nothing more to offer and didn't want to be involved in the case any further. I gave them all the evidence I had of 3 small children in repeated dangerous and illegal situations, all of which were verifiable by photo evidence and court documents. After that, I stopped getting traffic tickets from him. Maybe the car finally gave out. Dog, missed opportunity. Can't you say he stole your car because he never transferred the title? So you can be like, hey, my car was stolen, and then he'd get in a lot more trouble. This story's called, I Parked My Friend's Car in the Sun. I Learned to Regret It. So I posted this in petty revenge, but it was apparently too extreme to be there. What my friend does goes way above and beyond the original offense, so it's pro-revenge, done in a really petty way. Follows all rules, so now to the story. I live in the desert parts of the US, and during a few months in the summer, it's consistently over 110 degrees. 43.3 for my Europe bros. I was borrowing my friend's car for a quick drive cause mine was at the shop. He asked me to park it in the shade, but I could not find a shady spot, so I couldn't. So when he went to use his car, it was burning hot inside. He went to me and asked why I did not park it in the shade, and I told him I could not find any. He told me I would regret it, and I thought he was joking. He then offered to pick up my car from the shop. I said yes because I thought he was just gonna park it in the sun for a one-time revenge. So I drive a Prius and it uses automatic keys that open it when you go near it. This will be important later. He parks my car in the sun like I expected and gives back my keys. I expect this to be the end, but no. The next day, I went to work and parked in my normal spot in the shade. One of the only shady spots there. After that, I walked into work and proceeded as normal. Later, I went to find my car during lunch, only to see it 3 spots over in the sun. I thought it was weird because I remember parking in my normal spots, but maybe I'm just tired and somebody was already there in the spot, and I'm having a memory lapse. My car being in the sun was burning hot. This continues to happen for like 10 more days until I finally convince myself that I'm not crazy. I start thinking, who the hell is moving my car? No one has a key but me. Then I remembered my friend and what he said. He had to be the one doing this. I talked to him and he smiles. Apparently when he went to pick up my car, he got a new automatic key made for $300 and has been moving my car 2 or 3 spots over every day into the sun. Well, let's just say it did not stop after that, but instead, he did it more. From my apartment to work, he made it his life's duty that summer to make my driving miserable. Also, if you're reading this, name redacted, you know who you are, F you, schlonghead. Additional information. For anyone who thinks it's fake cause he could not get the key copied that easily, I had my title and registration in the car. I don't do that anymore because people have made me aware about how dumb that is. I would never take it out because I would lose it. He also had my driver's license so the shop would let him pick up the car. I asked him and he said the people who made the key just asked for the registration and title and never even asked for the driver's license, even though he had it. Also, he has stopped and given me back the key because it's winter now. This story is a few months old. He said that one summer was enough pain for my sin. Okay, honestly, that friend is really cool and you should appreciate that because if he's willing to go through that much trouble just to make your life slightly inconvenient, that's pretty cool. He's a pretty cool friend. Also, you got a free freaking $300 key thing. There you go. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.